Joining me now is Congressman Tim Huelskamp, a Tea Party Republican from Kansas. Congressman, thanks for joining me again.
Thank you, Reverend Al.
Let me ask you a question. Let's forget parties. Is it fair that billionaires pay a lower tax rate than their own secretaries?
Well, I think what we heard the other night was a campaign speech. We can't forget this guy's been president for 3 years, and we have 2 million less Americans working today, and he needs to run on something other than his record. And I think what he's doing is...
Congressman,
yes, sir.
I have those talking points, too, from the GOP. I asked you a question off the sheet. Is it fair for billionaires to pay a lower tax rate than their secretaries?
Well, they actually don't, according to the IRS. The effective tax rate of these millionaires and billionaires is more than most secretaries, and thus they're exceptionally high paid. 48% of all Americans don't pay any income taxes right now, Reverend Al, and you do know that.
Is it
fair,
the president
knows
that.
Is
it fair? One of your candidates for president, Mitt Romney, reported himself that he paid around 14% in taxes. The average middle-class American, Warren Buffett's secretary, pays 30% about. Is that fair?
Reverend Al, the average American doesn't pay 30% in income tax. It's not true, Al. What is true is the president...
If those statistics that I reported that they're saying are true, is it fair?
It's not true according to the IRS.
Oh, so you won't answer whether it's fair. You're trying to argue, but on the basis of the report, if the report is inaccurate, fine, you stipulate that. I'm asking you, is it fair? Is the arrangement fair, in your opinion?
Well, the arrangement is not the fact. The fact is 2 million Americans are out of work today because of the president's policies. And let's not forget, for 2 years...
So you're saying that Mr. Romney and Mr. Buffett are both misleading the public?
You know, what is misleading the public is the president of the United States. Just a year ago, a little over a year ago...
The United States didn't release Mr. Romney's taxes. President didn't release the figures on Warren Buffett's secretary.
No, but 2 years ago, or not, excuse me, 13 months ago, the President of the United States said we can't raise taxes on anyone. He actually signed the extension of the Bush-Obama tax cuts. It is really deceptive to turn around and say, no, wait a minute, now I'm against him because it's the campaign year. He signed those into law last December of 2010. Well, is that fair of him to do that?
Well, I would hope that he didn't do it then, and I hope he doesn't extend them now. But what I'm trying to bring home to the American people is that you guys can't even discuss fairness. I've asked you several times whether something is fair, and you can't even bring yourself to discussing fairness. We're going into the president is misleading, and the president... Basic fairness. That's all American people want to know. Can we get fairness?
I think the American people want?
But I'm asking you several times, as an American, to an American, is it fair? You can't even answer that.
No, here's what I will answer what fairness is. When I talk to Americans in Kansas, they are looking for a job. And what's unfair is the policy of this president have lost 2 million jobs in America. And actually, we have 4 million Americans more. 4 million more Americans in poverty because of this president's policies since he took office. That's a failure of his policies.
Well, all right, let's take what you just said since you won't answer the fairness question. Let's go to Kansas, to your district. In your district, the median income in your district is $43,013 per year. Mitt Romney pays a lower tax rate and makes $57,000 a day. Since you're worried about your district, how do you think the people in your district feels that Mr. Romney, who makes more a day than they make a year, pays a lower tax rate? You say they want jobs. They get a job and they'll be paying a higher tax rate than Mr. Romney. Does that concern you as their congressman?
Well, most Kansans I talk to aren't concerned and worried about what the guy down the road makes. They'd like to keep their own job. They'd like to make a living themselves.
But they'd also like to be paying a fair rate. Wouldn't you think that, or you think they don't care? Well,
there are plenty of folks that would like to punish others. But that's not the typical American dream.
So let me get this right. So for billionaires and millionaires to pay at the same rate as everyone else is a punishment?
They don't pay at the same rate as everybody else. 48%.
I gave you a specific example with Mr. Romney.
48% of all Americans pay no income taxes whatsoever.
But
the effective tax rate is zero, Reverend Al.
We can get into
and
the
you
argument.
do know that.
If we can get into the argument of payroll tax and all that. But what I'm telling you is one that we all know. Mr. Romney released this himself, Congressman. He's paying 14%. We're not guessing. He released it. The Democrats didn't release it. The president did. He said this is what he's paying. And you know that in your district, people pay a higher rate, and you can't even say whether that's fair or not. That's the problem in America.
Fairness in America is not the end result. It's not the end result. It's the opportunity. And everybody in America today has the opportunity to get ahead. We have opportunity in America unlike any other country in the world. And that's what we should be promoting rather than dividing America. This president said he would be a uniter.
Right.
And he is a divider.
The only way we're going to get ahead is we at least have to agree on fairness. And as long as we can't even talk about whether someone making more money a day than people in your district make a year and whether they ought to be paying the same rate or a fair rate, whether we can't even discuss whether that's fair, how do we get ahead, Congressman? We need to get ahead. Let's do that. Congressman, I've got to go. Thank you, Congressman Huelskamp. We'll have you on again as I've had. Maybe next time we can talk about fairness.
Let's not be envious, Reverend Al. Thank you.
Envious? I'm not envious. I am trying to be fair.
What is your income a year, Reverend Al?
What's your income? I tell you, my tax rate is the same as the people.
What's your income? What do you make for this show?
My tax rate is the same percentage that the average person in your district is certainly not 14%.
What's your income?
I just paid my quarterly. I wish I had a 14% rate. President Obama's 3-day blitz through 5 battleground